1. Welcome back to Lanterne Rouge Cycling Podcast for a really, really impactful Vuelta España stage brought to you by our show partner, Join Cycling. Stage 18 from Vitoria-Gasteiz to the Parque Natural de Izqui. We are on the border or going to and from Basque Country and Castilla y Leon and finishing, we do a loop basically south. And it's... I thought a nailed on breakaway stage. I didn't expect any GC action, mainly because it's not that much climbing, 2,700 meters over 180 Ks. That's not much compared to what we've had normally. There's a 5.5K, 8.3% climb, but it's 45 Ks from the finish. And it's steep, but it's not so bad. And then it's rolling hills to the finish. So I was like, oh, well, breakaway, not much on. And that was the case, Benji. There was a big breakaway.
Yep, exactly. Large breakaway, 42 people in the breakaway. And it was a bit confusing because there were some reports when the breakaway formed that the peloton had also split and O'Connor was in the fourth group of the peloton. But then when I looked at the ticker, the situation seemed pretty normal 5 minutes later. So we'll just ignore what happened there. We've got a 42-man breakaway and there's a lot of names. I'm going to have to go through all of these, aren't I? The most important teams first. Dool and Shaw are there for EF. They could be seen as potential satellite riders. Spoilers. We've got Vacek, Kung, and Schmidt for Little Trek, Groupama, and Jayco. Kruiswijk and Walter for Visma. Baroncini, McNulty, and Soler for UAE. So Soler KOM points are available, but Vine's in the leader's jersey. So, well, in the leader jersey when it comes to KOM. So he could attack his teammate there. Hajduk and Narvaez also in this breakaway. Cataneo, Pedersen, and Van Sevenant for Soudal QuickStep will also become important, or should I say T-Rex QuickStep. Adriel, Dens, and Vlasov for Bora Hansgrohe. Caden Groves with the green jersey on. Thomas Hendley, Vijns, Gregard for Lotto. We've got Arcas and Lascano, two riders of Movistar. Zutulin Bahrain, two riders from Arkea, Guglielmi, and Le Beret. We've got four riders from DSM. Poole, Bittner, Hamilton, Naberman. Jon Izagirre, Herrada for Cofidis. Garofoli, Tejada, and Nico Vinokurov of Astana. And four riders, again, from Kern Pharma. Berare, Castrillo, Iribar, and Miquel. And when I saw that 42-man breakaway, I was like, okay, this is pretty good. Break is off. Nothing's going to happen behind. Then I look at the peloton, and the gap is going down. So I'm really confused. Which team? Because literally, if I look at 42 people in the breakaway, how can you in God's name miss that breakaway? And it's Euskaltel pulling with their entire team behind because they missed the initial breakaway and they wanted to be in it. And we see eventually a counterattack with Biscara and Martin from Euskaltel, but they're joined by Bennett and Reisberg from Israel, Schelling from Astana, Pacher from Groupama, Sepulveda from Lotto, and two more important riders, Canal from Movistar and Lafay from Decathlon.
Either Schelling?
Was in that counter group, apparently.
No.
That is your conclusion.
No,
Yeah?
No way.
Yeah.
Bruh.
Check it.
He has come. His average finishing position on each stage is 140. What's going on?
Oh, poor Ide. Poor Ide.
Like
I was expecting so much more from this guy this year.
Yeah, I mean, his punch. I mean, Jesus, it's not been a good year for him, that's for sure. After he literally won a World Tour race last year. So I don't know what's happened with him.
But before we continue, Fuga de la Fuga instantly. Schmidt, Vacek, and Kung go off the front. And then it's siesta mode, right? We've got a breakaway up the road, 42 people, that chasing group with Euskaltel riders that is just patating, that's going nowhere, and a Fuga de la Fuga of three riders up front that is getting a minute, that might get taken back, might not. Were you expecting anything else than a breakaway fight at this point?
No, I wasn't expecting. I thought, they'll fight for the break.
Yeah.
It's like the GC group have been rolling around. It's at 10 minutes. There's no one in there. Okay, and I was looking at this final. I was looking at the climb, and I was like, it's 45 Ks from the finish. Like, where are you going to go? It's but it is hilly afterwards. So I was like, but I didn't expect anything to honestly to happen on the the Puerto de Herrera. In the breakaway, we saw, Marc Soler going for the KOM points over basically the stage win. He sprinted all out on that climb, and he went after today 1 point ahead of Vine on the KOM. Do you think after that, now Benji says, tranquilo, no, we don't go in any more breakaways, it's settled?
I'm sorry, but Vine has to go in the breakaway now to try and get over Soler.
Yeah.
And I guess we'll figure out. I just want to see on stage 20, Vine and Soler both in the breakaway, riding against each other. That would be prime stage 20 entertainment.
Soler already rode against Vine. He attacked.
Vine just hasn't done it back.
He chased with Mike Woods in his wheel when Vine was in the breakaway, like 3 stages ago.
Fair.
Anyway, I skipped a little bit ahead, but before we get to that, a word on our show partner, Join Cycling. Perhaps you're wanting to get back into your routine after summer has gone back. Maybe you're going back to university if you're in the Northern Hemisphere, or school. Maybe that your kids are back in school. Getting back into your normal routine is the perfect time to start a training plan to get you back on track, whether that's the recovery training plan on Join Cycling. That's the training plan I did last December when basically I hadn't been riding for a year, not really consistently at all. And I just wanted to lose weight and just get back into riding 3 to 4 times a week. That's what I did. And that worked really, really well for me. Maybe you're a little bit further along in your fitness journey. Then on Join Cycling, there's a stamina builder or the FTP builder plans, which are a great quarterly or 3-month plan to really get you up to speed once you've got a little bit of base of cycling there. But it doesn't matter what your level. Maybe you're used to riding 20 hours a week. You can put in on your level in cycling that you have full availability with advanced or pro level, and you can do it. Will give you a 20-hour a week or 15, 17-hour a week plan. Or maybe you're, I think, like the average person, maybe you got 7 hours a week, and you can get great bang for buck out of 7 hours a week training. Or rather, if you got 7 hours, why not get bang for buck out of those 7 hours to actually improve on the bike? So if you want to check out Join Cycling, our show partner throughout the year, you can go to the link down below to get 30-day free trial. And then there's a 6-month discounted plan off what is already a very, very affordable plan compared to traditional coaching on Join Cycling's app. But the breakaway, Benji, who was looking good? I mentioned Soler, but it's sort of on that climb, Kung and Schmidt came back, and the cream really rose to the top in terms of the climbers, because it is a hard climb.
Yeah, I felt like it was QuickStep that did a lot of work catching Schmidt, Watzek, and Kung before that climb, and then I saw Van Zevenand going to the front in that group and setting tempo for what seemed like Cataneo, which is a logical choice based on the levels we've seen in the last 2 weeks, because Cataneo's been pretty damn good in the last week and a half. I can't hammer that enough. But I felt like we had a bit of a still moment, and after that Van Zevenand Cataneo action, we've got a group of 12, 13 people maybe, and yeah, there's some attacks left and right. We see a Ken Pharma guy going, we see a DSM rider going, but in the end, I feel like there was a large portion of the climb where there was kind of nothing happening. And that was great, in my personal opinion, because the action was happening behind. Like you said, Soler takes the KOM points on top in the breakaway, and we basically had what feels like a 13-ish man group crossing the top with a lot of Equipo and Pharma riders in it. But we'll get to that later. First, I want to go to the peloton, because I was actually doing a Join Cycling ride before at this exact moment. And I was like, okay, I've got a calm moment. I can do a ride properly. And then I noticed that I start doing more watts because I see EF doing more watts as well in the peloton. So I automatically, when looking at my screen, also want to do more. And I see EF really pushing in the peloton. Really pushing. And at first it's okay, they're pacing. I'm like, okay, what's their plan here? They're setting up a train. Carapaz is looking like he wants to do something, because usually when EF sets up something, they're trying to shred a peloton for a potential Carapaz move. And when Cepeda started pacing, the group simmered down to not 40 people, not 30 people. Felt like it went down to 15 to 12 riders. And I'm sorry, but Cepeda was really on one on this climb. I did not expect this group to become so limited under the tempo of EF. And In the meanwhile, while that is happening, while Cepeda is setting up the attack for Carapaz, in the front group, the two EF riders that were in the breakaway have disappeared. Owain Doull, no clue where he is. James Shaw, no clue where he is. But that will become valuable because we see an attack in the peloton by Carapaz, and the first attack by Carapaz, Mikel Landa and Sepkus are dropped. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, to be honest, I thought, if they keep this at 10, 15 seconds, it's no problem. Like, where's Carapaz going to go? Where's he going to go? We've got 45 Ks left. It's a long way to go. And I was like, who's going to help him? Like, is Musk really going to help him? Not initially, so they can quickly, if there's a plateau, which there is at the top of this climb, there's a little plateau, you can very quickly come back 10, 15 seconds. So, but two things happened. Basically, Cepeda's pace was so hard that Landa and Koos go nowhere. So Koos full cracks, he gets dropped from Landa, so he's like gone, and he's got no teammates waiting for him. So, I mean, he was 13th in GC. Koos has had a strange Vuelta, Benji, where he's like, he's not gone in any breakaway. He's never been in the top 10.
Yeah.
But he's climbing at maybe sometimes the 6th or 7th best GC rider. He's getting and now he's getting nothing out of the race at all.
Exactly. So you don't get the options for stage victories. You don't necessarily get that top 10 because you can't get in a breakaway to backdoor into top 10. So breakaways were the key for Kuss to get in the top 10 in the first place. But if you can't get in them, then you won't end up with anything. And at this point, yes, he's dropped very early. But Landa's also not looking good. He's starting to bleed quite a bit of time. It's not 15 seconds, it's not 25. The gap goes to, let's say, 30, 35 seconds, but it's still quite a few kilometers. In that GC group ahead, we've got Carapaz still trying to set the tempo. He kept setting tempo because he noticed that Landa had been dropped, and quite a competitor for his top 5, I would reckon, for Carapaz as well. So he keeps on pacing. Maz in the wheel, Roglic looking solid in the wheel. Lipovic is still in the group, at the back of the group as well. O'Connor, I feel like a few times on the climb, O'Connor was gapped a little bit, but relatively still in the group, I would say. Skjelmose was dropped for a bit, then also came back. And it's really over the top that we see another split in that group. We see another move by Carapaz, Mas in the wheel, Roglic trying to follow, etc. And we see a split in the middle. And who is gapped? Skjelmose, O'Connor, and a few other GC riders. But this becomes important over the top because we suddenly see like a legion. What do we call it again? Satellite Rider Convention?
Yeah, a phalanx of satellite riders.
James Shaw and Owain Doull are suddenly appearing out of nowhere for Richard Carapaz. Perfect timing on top to pace that group with the other GC riders behind. Next to that, Carlos Canal and Victor Lafay, who are in that Euskaltel counter-chasing group, suddenly show up as well. Canal starts pacing for Mas. Lafay drops back not to the Mas group, but to the O'Connor group that is 50 meters behind and starts pacing for O'Connor. It's like everybody just shouted and invited their satellite riders at the exact same moment. And it's the moment you want them on top of this climb. And I'm seeing the situation 4 men. I see Skjelmose then trying to bridge from that second GC group to the first group. And eventually those riders end up coming together. But I'm looking at that group. I'm looking at Landa riding alone behind. And I'm wondering, where's Pedersen from the early breakaway? Where is Mauri van Sevenant from the early breakaway? Mattia Cataneo is right now in a 13-ish man group at the front of the race. Shouldn't he be called back? Because the gap of Landa isn't 30 seconds. It's 45 seconds a minute now. I think roughly just over a minute on top, maybe? Where were Pedersen and van Sevenant?
At Puerto de Herrera, it wasn't a minute.
Yeah?
It was way less. But the problem is, like, you got to close these gaps quickly because...
Yeah.
Initially, I was like, okay, no one's going to help EF. So it's great that they got the satellite riders, but even like Canal wasn't there initially straight away to pull because it's not their plan. The plan is EF's plan. So they've staged the satellite riders perfectly. Like Carapaz barely takes a pull on the descent at all. Like really over the top. The EF guys are right there almost. I think they might have been stopped, which is important. Secondly, the other teams aren't going to help initially because it's like, well, Roglic, he's not going to pull. I did think it was funny that Lipovic attacked because he saw Rodriguez was struggling. He is really ripe for his own GC in white. So others aren't going to help initially. So you got to close that gap quick while it's a 1v1 fight between teams. And Decathlon did that. They reacted pretty well. But for QuickStep, I was like, this could get out of hand, because if it gets to 30 seconds and then other teams, they start to pick up riders who've been dropped out of the breakaway. There's Oscar Rodriguez coming back. There's Jonathan Narvaez coming out of the breakaway. There's Nelson Oliveira might have been in the breakaway, or Arcas, I think it was. There's Kim Hajduk was in the breakaway. I'm trying to look down the other list for GC riders. So there's like now Quinta Pacher for FDJ. So these teams maybe initially aren't in on your plan. They maybe initially aren't going to help, but then they can like smell blood in the water and they're like, hold on, we can put Pacher on the front, and they're not closing it. And now you're going to ride against 6 guys who are also rouleurs. Then you're really in trouble. So you got to close it as fast as possible.
And just to make it clear, I just checked back. The gap is roughly 36 to 37 seconds
Not that
at
far.
the top of that climb. That is a gap where you can still save that, especially because it's not like a huge climb that comes afterwards where Landa will still capitulate. You can really make in-work on that gap if you have the domestiques there instantly. But Van Zevenand isn't there. He's riding a minute behind the Cattaneo group at the front of the race. Pedersen is starting to show up after like 5 to 10 minutes in the GC group itself, then stays in the back for a little of that group, and then eventually after like what felt like 20 minutes to me, suddenly shows up at Landa. Sorry, but that's 15 minutes too late. That's like 20 minutes after the top of the climb. I'm sorry,
and bear in mind, Landa got dropped quickly on the climb. Like the second Landa gets dropped on the climb, you got to like, they had time to react on the climb. They should be like, guys, at least 2 of the 3 wait. Yeah,
for sure, Pedersen and Van Zevenand should have been called back instantly.
Yeah.
With Cattaneo, if the gap starts going towards 1 minute, 1 minute 15, I'm sorry, but I'm calling Cattaneo back. I don't care that he has a chance for a stage victory at the front. It's still not it's not like he's got a 50-60% chance to win the stage.
Yeah, it's like 10% max.
And also, regardless, if he had a 90% chance for the stage, I would probably still call him back at that point. Because top 5 in GC, which Landa before the stage was in by roughly a minute over the 6th place, that's way more important than a potential stage victory. So when the gap went over a minute with, 25 to 30 kilometers to go, in my opinion, Cattaneo should have been called back as well. But not later.
Yeah. The Cattaneo callback at that point, you can debate it. You can, is he going to come back? Is it too late? Casper Pedersen's sitting on the back of the GC group whilst Landa's pulling on a false flat behind, sitting upright. He's like 60 kilos and not aero at all. He's just killing himself riding against Dool and like Carlos Canal. I was like, what the fuck are they doing? Like, what is Pedersen doing?
It's just because I don't have the confidence that Pedersen and Van Zevenand can make any difference here. So I feel like Cattaneo was the only person that could at that point. But we don't see Cattaneo being pulled back. It takes such a long time before Van Zevenand is being called back.
Yeah,
and we enter the last 20 kilometers.
Guy.
Yeah. Went to the last 20 kilometers and the gap is 2 minutes 30, almost 3 minutes. We enter the last 15 kilometers. The gap is now 3 minutes. And then we see the team car of QuickStep go to the back of the breakaway, talk to Cattaneo, having the chat. And I gotta be honest, they didn't look like they were having a jolly chat either. And they decide to call Cattaneo back with 12 to 13 kilometers to go in this race. And I'm sorry, but that's one of the worst calls I've seen this year tactically.
Yeah, I don't know. It's different if they told Cattaneo to wait straight away when Landa was dropped and he refused to. And then you go up and you make him wait. I can sort of understand that. If that was when they told him to wait, then that is completely insane. You're telling a guy to throw away a chance to go for the stage for someone who's provisionally 10th on GC.
Yeah.
But like what? And also Landa can move back up on Yates or whatever. No, Yates is in the group. So that was completely insane. Cattaneo didn't want to wait. I get the feeling, I'm going to assume that Cattaneo did not get told to wait immediately. because he does go back and he actually pulls very, very strongly for Landa, nearly dropping guys in the group basically. And Landa was completely cooked. Like he was losing the wheel in the group chasing behind. So yeah, Landa, I think Catania maybe took 20, 30 seconds back and he led that group across. But man, like what a disaster for QuickStep. Because yeah, we'll go back to the breakaway and the stage win, but essentially after the last hill, even decathlons start pulling because they can take out a potential. I mean, Landa's been climbing almost better than Carapaz. He's certainly been climbing better than O'Connor. They even start pulling with Lefay in the group. So Lefay, Narvaez, Godou, O'Connor himself, Nico Denz might have even taken a pull for Florian Lipovitz. Like everyone's pulling Canal, and they take 3 minutes 20 on the Landa group with Koos, who actually came back with Volta. So that goes, and Adam Yates was also in that group. So it goes to show that Landa's group was not moving. When it was just Pedersen and Van Sevenant, they were going backwards. Like they were going nowhere. And Landa moves down 5 spots to 10th on GC, which he's lucky Yates wasn't in the group ahead he's now 19 seconds behind Sivakov. So the best he can probably do is move up to like 8th or something. So the chance of a podium now completely gone for Landa.
If Cataneo, Van Sevenant, and Pedersen were called back in an appropriate time period after just on top of the climb or something, or within the descent of that climb, how much different could the situation have been? I reckon he could have still been 15 GC.
Yeah, I mean, maybe he still doesn't come back. Maybe. But I think he'd be a lot closer.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with you.
So yeah, they kind of stuffed it up, and then making Catania wait was like the worst. I was like, you're half an hour too late for this, and now you're gonna make Catania very, very angry. So because Catania pulling actually didn't really change anything. Like Landa was still going to be top 10 regardless. It's just
odds on Catania going to Astana.
He's out of contract. He's been very good in his last in this race. I haven't seen him for the rest of the year. Maybe he was injured. Maybe he had a crash in stage 1 of Romandy, if I had to guess. But oh no, he's got another year next year. Apparently he's got another contract year next year. So they weren't even making him wait because he's leaving the team. So that was very, very strange. Anyway, that's Landa's podium bid gone. One less man for Carapaz to worry about. That's why great plan from EF. We got to give EF and Carapaz credit. Like he tried on the Hazalana stage. I thought it was crazy. It's why he's where he is on GC. Then his climbing's come really good, and now they're launching when no one expected it on the Puerto de Herrera with satellite riders, and it's they put a guy who was threatening Carapaz out the back. Now he's now got to take. I think the plan was really to drop O'Connor because then he really goes onto the podium. But they'll keep trying. And stage 20, we're going to see more of this. We're going to see more of this on stage 20. The breakaway though, Benji, they get over the climb. Equipo got 3 guys. It's weird to say, but it was Equipo's race to lose the whole way in.
Yeah, that is true. And if we take a look at the 3 riders they have, they've got Berare, was it Miquel as well, who
is the quickest sprinter in the group.
Exactly. And Castrillo's also there. So we've got 3 riders that on paper, pretty damn good riders. But it's weird. It's still weird for a pro team to be in a situation where it's their race to lose, you know? Isn't that true? They've got the best sprinter in the group.
Yeah.
But you don't place a pro team on a World Tour team level yet. But in this race, Ken Farmer's definitely riding as one. Because the benefit of having multiple riders is not just that you could try and control it maybe for Miquel's sprint, or you can try and react to attacks with your multiple riders, which is also valuable. And with about 6 kilometers to go, roughly, we see a move by Steven Kruijswijk, and we see his square shoulders going back and forth, and he's got a bit of a gap, and in his wheel, it's a rider from Equipo Pharma. It's not Castrillo, it's not Miquel, it's actually Urco Berare. We've already mentioned him. I think he rode a good Burgos, if I recall correctly. And to see this guy in the wheel, I'm thinking, okay, Urco Berare, he's probably also got a better sprint than Kruijswijk, to be honest, because if I had to guess the sprint of Kruijswijk, it'd be a negative number that I'd based on it.
Well, yeah, when he jumps, it's perfect. And this way, when you got the fastest sprinter in numbers, like if you just play it tactically correct on rolling hills like this against isolated riders, it's very, you got a huge advantage. And because you can throw that guy with Kruijswijk. And I thought just relay with Kruijswijk because you're going to beat him in the sprint 100 times out of 100. He goes one better and he just attacks and solos. And then behind, you've got the poor old Mauro Schmidt. God, he's been strong in the breakaways. Like, he's been so strong.
Yeah.
But Lascano, you know how he is. He got that Rui Costa in him and that Valverde in him. And Soler's also there. And every time someone jumps, Schmidt jumps, bang, Castrillo in the wheel. Another one jumps, Mikel in the wheel. So you got isolated riders, Farmer blocking it up behind, rolling terrain. Who's going to pull all out on a false flat short descent with Paul Mikel in their wheel? And basically Berard is able to solo to win the third stage for Equipo Confama, which is crazy. Another Spanish stage win too. Paul Mikel nearly wins the sprint for second. Schmidt just beats him on the line for second. So Confama go 1 and 3. Max Pool 4th, Lasso 5th, Lascano 6th, then Izagirre Vacek, Castrillo and Kruijswijk running out the top 10. Poor old Stefan Kung just got dropped on the final hills. And yeah, like Equipo Confama, what a win. They've got 4 wins this year. A 2.2 Alps Isère Tour stage, probably not televised, against some U23 riders or Devo riders. And then today, now they've won 3 Vuelta stages, and it was strange, to think this is they're going to 1-2. Tactically, they've been great, but also their legs have been great.
I gotta be honest, it's starting to get really boring to see these super rich teams like Equipo Pharma dominate every
salary cap now.
Every race. I think so as well. I think we need to stop Pharma. They're dominating this. But now, on a serious note, it's nice to see a team like this get those victories. If I recall correctly, they didn't actually get access to this race last year. They didn't get a wild card. They weren't welcome last year, which is kind of funny. And this year they just, comparing with Euskaltel, it's a bit embarrassing for Euskaltel. Like, this is so much better what Ken Pharma is doing. It's not just when it comes to riders, but also Euskaltel's missing breaks left and right that they should be in the first place. It's not just that their riders are better, but they certainly are, because Castrillo winning 2 stages, Berardi winning. We've got Miquel top 5ing sprints left and right. I'm sorry, but this is a good team, and I'm curious where these riders will go next season. I don't know which ones are out of contract. Castrillo definitely is.
Both of them.
Is Miquel out of contract? But then again, his value is much lower than the other two, obviously, because he's a versatile sprinter. So he's basically Jona Barasturi.
Isn't it embarrassing for Movistar too?
Kinda, yeah. Well, is it? Because
I know Mas is up there on GC, but I'm talking long. Like, they've won more stages in this Vuelta Confirma than Movistar have won in total in the Vuelta since 2020.
Fair. Yeah, but it's difficult to compare because Movistar is now so focused on GC that
they always go for GC, yeah.
But on the other hand, the times that they go for the breakaway with Lascano, etc. Sorry, but Lascano hasn't been good this race. Sanchez hasn't been good this race.
Yeah,
and Sanchez ended up leaving the race, but they haven't been able to actually get anything out of being the breakaway when they were in it, outside of some satellite rider moves.
That's what I mean. Like, if Movistar, it's not like they're not trying to win from the breakaway. They're trying to win from the breakaway, and they've just not been good enough, and that's been a theme the last few years. And yeah, so Confirma, I think it's on rotation, the wildcard invitations, the Vuelta, because there's so many Spanish pro teams. But how can you not invite Confirma again next year? I mean, maybe Berardi leaves, he's 26, but Castrillo, will be the most expensive or highly sought after because he won on uphill finishes. But wow, crazy stuff. We've already gone through GC, so everyone moves up a spot Carlos Rodriguez is in 6th. So, yeah, GC still all to play for. He's holding a 7-second lead over Skjelmoser in the white jersey. When you take into account the TT, just like with O'Connor and Roglic, Skjelmoser is functionally in the white jersey. Lipovic is on 34 seconds. So that's very tight between those three. But yeah, fantastic stage. I didn't think there'd be GC action. It did kick off, and it looked like some directors also weren't expecting it either.
Ooh, yes, that's true. Have we gone through the GC top 10, the revised one?
Yeah, Lander's 10th, 3 minutes ahead of Koos or whoever, or Yates in 11th. And yeah, so he's going to come 8th or 10th. 8th to 10th is his range.
Tomorrow's going to be an opportunity to maybe pass a few people in GC, is what Landa will be hoping for. We've got a mountain stage that, I got to be honest, Alto de Moncalvillo is the final climb of the day, 8.6 kilometers, 8.9%. Stage itself is 174 kilometers with another climb in the middle, which is the Puerto de Pradilla, 5 at 5%. So that middle climb probably won't be doing much. So it's all about the final climb. And this to me looks like the kind of stage where Breakaway goes off the front. Breakaway is allowed to go for the stage win. And in the peloton walks towards the bottom of the final climb and Roglic drops everyone.
That's what happened in 2020 on stage 8. It was a warm-up climb, and then they whacked Moncalvillo, and he put 30 turboed away from Carapaz in the last few Ks, and I think 800 meters to go, he put the afterburners on and took 13 seconds plus 10 bonies, and Dan Martin was good that Vuelta too. Vlasov was actually 4th, so he was good on that climb. Enric Mas lost 54 seconds then. He maybe is better now, and yeah, Koos wasn't so good there either. So it's a good climb for Roglic. Climb he's got good history on, and it's a perfect stage for him. So Bora just got to keep it simple. They don't even need to do what they've been doing, Benji. He doesn't. Why would he go from the bottom anymore? Because they did that on Quito Negro, and it didn't really work. He got caught and dropped by Mas a bit.
Different though, eh? Different climb. And
different
climb. The pacing before.
Don't they just do a sky train and then slowly ramp it up so he does a teleport in the last K like he won in 2020 and takes the bonies and a 10-15 second gap at worst on O'Connor?
There's one danger with that strategy though. If you're doing a sky train and you notice that your team is not strong enough to keep the tempo high enough to prevent other teams attacking, then you might see EF coming to the front end, doing their own train and trying to launch Carapaz, or some other team trying to launch something a bit earlier on the climb. Because if I must, I want it to be a bit harder.
Yeah. But then you can just, like if Carapaz attacks, that's just not Roglic's problem. Or Lipovic can just, Lipovic can set a pace that's pretty strong, like without trying to launch an attack. So
he's got to look after Rodriguez. Come on. And scale.
No, he's not. Of course, he's not going to do that. But we'll see. I mean, I think Vlasov's going to be big tomorrow. Martinez hasn't looked so good the last couple of days. So I think Vlasov is going to be key for Roglic shutting down this climb. And but yeah, they should put the bonies in place. So I can't go past anybody else except Primoz Roglic doing his thing and winning this stage, Benji.
Winning the stage? No breakaway?
I mean, come on, like it's a layup.
I'm sorry. I think breakaway wins.
Do you think they'll let the break win?
I think there's too many teams that want to be in the breakaway every day.
True. All right, who's climbing well? Castrillo.
We had to say it, eh? Who else is climbing well? Mauro Schmidt, this one won't be the one, I'm afraid. Like, this one is a bit too hard, I reckon. Marc Soler is getting... Nah. I'm looking at the Criterium de Dauphiné 20 whatever, so...
Yeah, I'm going to go with Mauro Schmidt to win from the breakaway.
Really? I just said this won't be the one for him. You're countering exactly what I said.
He's climbing pretty well. Like, he only lost 30 seconds to Woods on Ancares, which is way steeper than Moncalvillo.
I'm going with Max Poole.
Yeah, okay.
I'm desperate. Give it to me, Poole. Come on.
Poole and Schmidt. So yeah, there could be a decent fight for the breakaway because indeed it's not that short a stage. Like it is 174 Ks. There are hills at the start. And if the break does form early, there's plenty of valley to for it to make a difference. So and get that gap. And certainly Decathlon will want those bonus seconds gone, not just because of Roglic, but because Mars and Carapaz is probably going to drop O'Connor as well. Roglic will go into red, Benji, most likely, but what about O'Connor podium vis-a-vis Mars and Carapaz? It's not that long a climb. It is pretty steep, to be honest, but 8.6 Ks, 8.9%. How long's that? 25 minutes, maybe?
The more passive Roglic rides, the better for O'Connor. His podium ambitions. Because if Roglic decides to go early again on the climb, then O'Connor is losing 40 seconds to the rest, in my opinion. But if Roglic doesn't go ham and Bora does a sky train with O'Connor sitting in the wheel, etc., then it's possible that he only loses like 10, 15, 20 seconds at the end of the climb. And then that's much better for him versus Maz and Carapaz, etc. So that might lead to, if Bora's too passive, a team like Movistar EF trying to make the climb harder for that exact reason.
Yeah, on Ancares, it was a more difficult stage with more gain, and it was, I think, a steeper climb. Like, I'm pretty sure O'Connor's at least 5 kilos heavier than Mas and maybe 8 kilos heavier than Carapaz.
Yeah.
So the really steep gradients are not good for him. He lost to Carapaz 50 seconds. So if he's going to take 20 seconds at least on Carapaz in the TT, which is an effective loss of 30 seconds, then Carapaz is... Yeah, I think that's why Carapaz went today. Then they're going to have to go and pick on Blanco again, which is, also a very, very hard climb. But it's going to be... O'Connor shouldn't lose the podium tomorrow, that's for sure. But it's how much time does he lose that he can then defend on pick on Blanco before the TT, where he has the advantage on Mas and Carapaz. So tomorrow is really, really important, obviously, even though it's not as hard as stage 20 overall.
Okay.
I
think so as well. And it's also important for someone like Carapaz to, like I've mentioned a few times, if Bora's going to go different, hammer it like today, and Carapaz needs to attack them to try and put pressure on O'Connor.
Yep. I think they will do that, to be honest. Elsewhere, but yeah, that's the Vuelta. So tomorrow, good uphill finish. Today in the Tour of Britain was stage 3, and there was an interesting breakaway with a lot of Scandinavians, actually, with Tobias Foss, Abrahamsen, and Julius Johansson. But in the end, it all came back together, and Stevie Williams won again. It was a punchy finish, about 500 meters, 7%, and Williams was in the right place. Magno he sprinted a bit deep, came with speed late. Zambanini and him nearly came together, and but it was too late. Williams wins, which also means 10 bonus seconds. So in terms of GC, he's looking very, very, very good for that. And with 16 seconds over Onley, who is not going to out sprint him in any of the sprints most likely. Magno second, Zambanini third, Jelta Cranston another good result, fourth for Q3 6.5, where he's a trainee. So he keeps performing. But QuickStep have had a bit of a disaster there as well.
I actually agree. Like, Magno was boxed in the sprint, so you can't really blame him too much for ending up losing that sprint. He's still not the most experienced rider, still only 22, definitely a big 20, sorry. Definitely a big talent. And then I look at how Remco and Alaphilippe rode yesterday. I feel like they maybe went a bit too hard during the stage itself. And then today Remco drops early, which that seems to be more related to form because he was ill going into this race. And then when it comes to Alaphilippe, he's losing GC positions today on a day where he shouldn't be doing that. As simple as that. So maybe went too deep yesterday in that stage. I don't know. It's like QuickStep should have been able to be way more competitive for GC than they are right now. Because right now, they're not in the top 5 anymore. They're 7th and 8th with Magno and Alaphilippe. And the fact that Magno is first and Alaphilippe is under him in GC is kind of surprising to me. Even though, like, Magno is obviously a super talent. I expected this guy to do well in stages. But Alaphilippe should be above him in GC. Period.
Yeah, but they stuffed Magno yesterday.
Yeah.
They attacked.
Way too hard.
And then Remco dropped him, or he was like not closing Remco. They got in a group with 2 quick Israel riders. Alaphilippe's not that quick anymore. He's not that quick. No. And then he got in a group with Williams, and Williams was like, sweet. And just and Remco didn't chase behind to create pressure. And Manier was dropped, who was in the race leader's jersey because he won stage 1.
Yeah.
And then Williams just cleaned him up, and Blackmore then won the sprint behind. And then today he was like, yeah, it's too late. Like now Williams is perfect for him. So even if Manier won, he lost 1:27 yesterday. So yeah, they kind of, it's not looking good. There was also resurfaced rumors of Remco to Bora again today, but it's based on it's not based on anything. But Chiro reported that. So where there's smoke, there's fire, I guess. So
I guess we'll see.
Well, I guess we'll see. But yeah, Williams is leading GC now 16 seconds over Oscar Onley. Mark Donovan is in 3rd. And yeah, it's been a bit of a disaster for both QuickStep and Ineos. Like Ineos as well. Their best rider on GC in their home race is 18th.
Hater?
Yep, Hater on 18th. So not looking good. And tomorrow's stage is a sprint most likely, so Manier will probably... Yeah. Manier's a good chance for that. We also had...
Wout van Aert news?
Wout van Aert's out for the season.
Yep. Honestly, I wasn't surprised hearing that.
No,
it's a shame to have that, of course. World Championships, etc., whatever the other plans were for the rest of the season. So, but I am mostly on the camp of, I'm just hoping that his knee will be okay for the next season and that he can ride the classics with full form next season, that it's not like some injury that keeps lingering on. But I did find it a bit weird, by the way. There was an article on Sporza with the GP, what do you call that? The local doctor of Wout van Aert talking about his knee. And
the Herentals doc.
I don't know if it's the Herentals doctor, like his actual GP.
Also, not the treating doctor in Belgium.
I don't know how to
just
say
the
this
guy.
in English,
the guy he goes is the guy he goes to in December when he's got a cold.
Yes,
that guy was giving an update.
Yeah, full article in Sporza.
Who was the guy giving updates all the time? Like, was it Bernal? They held press conferences when he was in the hospital.
The hospital was hosting press conferences.
It was fucked.
And Bernal's situation was completely
in bed all
unclear.
Broken. It's like, what's going on?
That's insane.
Yeah. I don't know about that, but yeah, it's some of the docs. They're like, it's my 5 minutes of fame. Time to shine.
I think so.
Hopefully, yeah. Apparently, it needs attention, and it's a shame because
what
also
does that mean?
What?
It needs attention. Anyone needs attention.
Yeah, they just wrap it up and say, "See ya." It's probably not what's going to happen with a professional athlete, is it? But yeah, hopefully,
I'm guessing cleaning the wound, etc. That's my own doctorate expertise.
You go into a wall like that, and there's all dirt and shit and rock. You go like when you go into a wall. You go into a wall like that. It's wet. It was a wet day. There's just shit everywhere. So, it's a shame because Worlds, he was looking in great shape the way he was climbing.
Yep.
Europeans, I don't know if he was going to do that, and then Lombardia, Benji. This was the one-off chance to maybe podium that race.
Has it been announced now, the parkour?
I don't know, but if we assume no Civilio, it'd look good for Van Aert too, so it's a shame.
Yes, indeed.
Elsewhere, we had the Giro della Regione Friuli Venezia Giulia, which, it's not the biggest race, but it has some pretty big riders. Giulio Pellizzari, more important than winning a Giro stage, he got some sunglasses. That's where you'll remember him from. But he actually was in this race, which is a great test to see where he is an elite climber now in World Tour, at least in the Giro, against Pablo Torres, who was the best climber, maybe in the world, during the Tour de l'Avenir on Fenestra, and Nordhagen, who didn't do the Tour de l'Avenir because Norway was broke. somehow. And yeah, we had a mount. Yeah, I know. We had a really hard stage, an 11K, 8% climb, a short descent, and then another shallower climb. Nordhagen went clear, and then Pellizzari paced him back. Aaron Dox, who's on the Alpecin Devo team, and before this race had also been getting very consistent good results, including some wins. Like he won in Austria in a 2.2. He wasn't so good in Lavenir, but yeah, he came back to them because Pellizzari and Nordhagen refused to work together, came down to a sprint, and he dusted them. He put them on a gap of 2 seconds, and Nordhagen second, Pellizzari third. Pablo Torres was behind chasing on his own, 33 seconds back. So really, really interesting stage. And tomorrow we have a punchy circuit. No, he's not.
Is Aaron Dox family?
I checked a million times.
Of that lotto rider Gert Dox?
Oh, yes. I thought you meant Lander Dox.
That's Lander Lox.
Really?
Yeah, yes.
No way.
Not every Belgian name that ends in ox is the same family.
Now you mention it. It is different.
Mieke Dox exists on the women's side, but I don't think she's family.
Brother, Vara van Geleve and Gil Helders, they're cousins.
Who knows at this point?
You can't convince me they're not. I guess he is the cousin of Gert Dox, and he is the nephew of Kurt Dox. Kurt and Gert. We got basically the Anglophone pronunciation of Gert.
Flanders isn't the state of Alabama, mate.
No, I'm not. I'm saying that Gil Helders and Vara van Geleve, they're just like a package deal. Like you just get some misc rouleurs that are actually much better than you expect them to be. Gil Helders was good to enter Britain.
Like a British grocery store meal deal.
Yeah, like you get you get Jake Stewart and Fred Wright. They're just a package deal, you know, like just a Miss Classics guy. The Aaron Dox, big win for him. I don't know if he's on the. I mean, Alpecin. I don't know why they bother developing him because they despise climbers.
Yeah.
So it's like maybe they'll just sign to a world tour deal and sell him because they despise climbers. But he's certainly worth a pro team contract. If not next year, the year after. I think he's got another year of U23 or 2. But tomorrow's a punchy stage where we'll see Nordhagen and Koa go against each other. It's got a climb of 3Ks, 9%, and it's 13Ks from the finish, and then an uphill kick. So they're going to kick off again, I would say. And you can watch it on YouTube. It's live streamed. So if you want to watch the stars of the future, you can watch it there. Nina Boisman won in Ardèche. But she hasn't got the GC lead. Talida de Jong still has that. We got 3 stages left.
And the didn't happen, eh?
It didn't happen because of weather.
Yes.
And yesterday there was was that the race with the terrible crash with Omsel?
Yeah. Omsel had I think his heart stopped during the race, but I don't know an update on the situation. I think it was slightly positive, but I don't want to say it in case I'm wrong.
So yeah, it seems he came together with the motorbike and had a very, very serious crash. So best wishes to Jakob Omsel, who's a very, very big talent and 18 years old, just terrible. But hopefully he's okay and comes back. But yeah, we'll keep you updated. He won Paris-Roubaix Junior this year. He's a big prospect and terrible crash. So hope he's okay. Thankfully, he's receiving care and we'll keep you updated and follow that. He's on Adria Mobile Juniors and he's got a contract with the CTF Victorious Devo team next year, Bahrain's feeder team.
Oh, Bahrain.
Yeah. Adria Mobile, because Erzen was Adria Mobile's boss during Rogler time, I think. The now boss of Bahrain.
Yes, that is correct.
If I have to remember, yes. He was a sports director at Adria Mobile in 2013, which had Roglic, Radoslav Regina, Mughali.
Let's not talk about that one.
What's wrong with Radoslav?
Let's check his history. I think something.
There's nothing on
there.
PCS. It says he's good to go. Yeah, King High Lake specialist.
Nah, there has to be. Am I dumb? Nah, I don't know. Can't be fuck checking it right now.
Yeah, he's King
I
Highlight
said
Goat.
nothing.
Yeah, you didn't say anything. That's all from us. Hope you enjoyed the podcast. We'll see you with the big uphill finish, or the last one of 2 in the Vuelta tomorrow. Thanks to Join Cycling, our show partner, as always. Until then, ciao.